This is our weekly Sunday debrief at the beach. We're in our usual slightly sheltered from the wind spot. So for those of you guys who are questioning whether or not we actually did this outside at the beach, you might be able to hear the waves today because the wind is really going crazy. It's an absolutely, unbelievably gorgeous day here in Puerto Rico as Julie and I settle down to have a conversation about what's going on, what we're thinking about, and and obviously we're going to be covering some of the topics we've been talking about on the podcast all week, specifically the coronavirus. If you're listening to this as your first exposure to Tim and Julie Harris, I strongly encourage you to listen to at least the past few days worth of podcasts on the coronavirus. And it's obviously an evolving, ongoing story, and Julie and I are going to be hopefully not spending too much time today talking about that, but it's top of mind, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do end up meandering in that direction. I want to first off start by saying, hey, Julie, happy birthday.
Hey, you too.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was our birthday week.
It was. My birthday is on March 9th, and Julie's is on March 12th. And for those of you who are curious how old we are, we're not going to tell you.
No.
So there.
And we had a lovely little trip to a beautiful place called Amelia Island.
Yeah.
Brought Zoe with us. It was a nice little few-day break. So if you guys have never visited there, it's definitely worth the trip. It's just absolutely fantastic. So I thought that was great.
I'll tell them how old I am if you tell them how old you are. We'll say it at the same time. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 50.
39.
Oh, Julie just lied.
Just kidding. Plus 10. There you go. Now it's truthful.
Yeah. So there you go. You know what's kind of cool is I sit here with Julie looking out at the ocean, and I think, I reflect. It makes me contemplative. It's one of the reasons Julie and I like doing these debriefs. Kind of takes us out of the kitchen, gives us an opportunity to have some perspective. But we have, Julie and I met when she was, in essence 16 and I was 17. And I'm 50 and she's 49. And I have to say, it's fascinating to have that perspective. It's being 50, I never have regretted getting older. It's not something that I really feel like, I don't know. I wonder sometimes why some people have such episodes of seeming depression every time they have a birthday come and go. And I think Julie's observation was the accurate one, that it's basically because you feel like you're letting things get by you, time get by you, opportunities get by you. And I don't feel that way, and that's definitely true. I don't. I mean, as we're sitting here.
Yeah, me neither. And I have to say that on my walk with the Bulldogs this morning, I was thinking this week more than, I feel this a lot all the time, but this week particularly, I had a lot of thank you past Tim and Julie moments.
Yeah, me too.
Because we're reminded, I felt that way with the earthquake situation, but now that with the whole coronavirus thing and people taking things online, I'm very grateful to you in particular for having the thought that, hey, you know what, we don't have to do things just with events. We don't have to have, everything's online. You guys have had access to all of our coaching material for years, and we're not scrambling like some companies are to figure out, gosh, how in the world are there people going to work remotely, or how am I going to get all my stuff online? I'm really grateful that we don't have to have that panic attack on top of worrying about stuff. I think that's pretty awesome.
The Sunday debrief isn't about Julie and I giving a prepared presentation. We don't have any notes. But she just did say something that's just kind of interesting. I hope all of you guys consider adopting this. The thanking past Tim and Julie. Basically, we do that. It puts us in a state of gratitude, but really what we're doing is acknowledging the fact that our past toiling has actually paid dividends now, and it does compound when you have long periods, and I do mean decades, of doing what you don't want to do and you don't want to do at the highest level. I had almost an argument with somebody yesterday about whether you do or don't need passion to be successful at something, and you absolutely do not need passion to be successful at something. What you have to do is you have to have passion for the results that come from doing that something. And a lot of people are confused about that. And that's definitely, Julie and I have always felt that way. And this is one of those things that sometimes makes people mad. We have never had passion for selling real estate. Never had. Coaching, there were some moments definitely where I felt, and I still do feel, massively grateful. Individual coaching calls, things like that. And certainly in the business that we built and all this blah, blah, blah stuff. But the reality of it is that most days it's just like going into the coal mine. You have to go every day down the coal mine with your little bucket and your pickaxe and your light, and you cannot come back out of the coal mine until you've got your little bucket full of coal, and that's it. And that's how we have gone from where we were when we got married almost 30 years ago, which was less than broke, and living in a tiny little apartment on North High Street in Columbus, Ohio, to literally living at the Ritz-Carlton in Dorado Beach in Puerto Rico. And the experiences we've had over the last 3 decades, sticking to what we felt was true, even in the... I mean, honestly, guys, there was not a whole hell of a lot that was supporting the way our own business philosophy and really our own life philosophy. Nowadays, there isn't either. It's even worse. You know, how often do you meet somebody that has been married for 30 years where they met each other in high school? I mean, it's just not something you see anymore. How often do you see people that are truly self-made that aren't just, it's just not something. And along the way, I'm not saying it's been a direct climb up the mountain. We certainly had moments of not having, like when we were first getting started, and Julie and I we had a car cleaning and detailing business actually that we had in college, and that was a great business. It was fun. And then we got into real estate right after that. When we were in our early 20s, we bought our first house when we were in college, and it probably took, yes, we were successful selling real estate, but as far as the quality of life that we were experiencing, it wasn't that different than the people who had taken more traditional routes and, had jobs and just were. As a matter of fact, I have to say they probably were having more fun,
Oh, yeah.
They were.
Definitely.
I mean, when you're self-employed, you're never not working. That's just a myth. The antivirus software is constantly running in your brain. It's true. And when you're selling real estate, it just doesn't matter. Whatever business it is, there's no such thing as a business where you don't have to constantly carry
I think you
feed.
own it in a completely different way.
Yep.
Even if you're the world's best employee and you have enthusiasm for the company you work for, when it's your company you're working for, I do think that that's a different scenario. Mentally, emotionally, financially, it affects everything you do. I mean, even now we have dreams about... I have coaching dreams sometimes, and I wake up and I think, wait a minute, didn't I just have that yesterday? Some of those thoughts. We used to have, 3 a.m. real estate night sweats that we talk about sometimes.
I don't know what Julie's talking about right now. What do you mean coaching dreams?
A coaching client has a situation. What's the strategy to help them?
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
In other words, you're problem solving.
Problem solving, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you wake up and you think, and you feel like, I tease you about getting sleep exhaustion because you're a better sleeper. But, and in the real estate space, of course, we would always have, I remember thinking about, termite inspections and all these things. And when we had the detailing business, it was like, what's the snowstorm going to do to our business? Because, you could have a great run right up until about Thanksgiving, and then the snowstorm would hit, and, you got to have a plan for that. It's different than when you just go to work.
So the point of all this is that it took us probably, how long do you think before you actually felt like we were seeing the benefit from all of our sacrifices? It was at least a decade.
At least a decade.
Yeah.
I mean, there were little things along the way. We started to take some vacations now and then, but in a significant, meaningful way, I'd say at least a decade.
Yeah, but Julie, everybody we knew, I'm just thinking out loud here, but everybody we knew from college and, that we knew because we were living in the same town we'd grown up in, was having a hell of a lot more fun going on vacations. They had spring breaks when you and I were working.
Yep.
I mean, you and I were working on holidays. I remember selling houses on, Easter and
Me too.
Christmas Eve and, all kinds
on
of
our
things.
birthdays.
Where people had paid time off. So it took a
weekends.
long damn time to really realize. But here's what had happened in that time period. Hopefully I'm speaking to all of you guys because you're experiencing the same things. And those of you who are about to start your journey, you will experience it. I wish someone had told me it takes a hell of a lot longer than you think it should or think it will. And it just does, because it just takes a long time for things to compound. It's not just money, but money's obviously a big part of it.
It's education. It's learning. You start to think that you know it all because you've done 100 deals, and lo and behold, something comes and smacks you in the face that you never thought of before.
Yep.
And then after 1,000 deals, something else happens. So, it's about education and keeping your motivation and keeping your head screwed on straight. And, that's a little bit different every day.
Wealth accumulation, actually becoming rich, where your money works for you and you no longer have to work for your money, that's been harder to do than anything else that we'd ever done before, for sure.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, because you have so many things that don't want you to be rich, right? I mean, literally, nothing is set up for you to be rich.
Nope.
The government doesn't want you to be rich. The society doesn't want you to be rich. Nobody.
No.
Nobody. The whole thing is set up basically to keep you in a state of dependency. By design, probably. I mean, without sounding crazy, but yeah, I really think it's by design. And because when you're rich and, when you don't have to, when you basically have enough money coming in more or less passively from different sources, which is what we teach all of you guys to do in our coaching program. When you get there and you still have those pangs, as Julie called them, the real estate night sweats, or you still will have these moments where you're thinking about money, but then you realize it's not really a concern anymore. It's just your old software that occasionally...
But you have to remind yourself of that. That's not the first thought. That's the second thought.
Or third.
Right. Yeah. You're not going to prevent that. But I also think that that's a source of strength, that you can process that and that you have that little reminder that, hey, you know what? You can't be asleep at the wheel. You can't be complacent. Ever. And that's, I think, why you're given those thoughts, is as a little reminder. And I think that's why some people get a little weird on their birthdays, honestly, because it's a reminder of what you're doing or what you haven't done. You know how much time you've got left to get it together and then keep it together.
Nice closing of the loop there, sister, on the birthday topic.
Thank
I like
you.
that. That was very professional.
Keeping track.
Yeah, so we got our shit together, people. We know what we're doing. Julie reeled that shit back in. See how quick she did that?
I learned that from book stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Make the chapter make sense.
Hold on, I have to throw in a commercial. I can't help myself.
It's okay.
Make sure, if you guys haven't purchased our book, Harris Rules, it's for sale at Barnes & Noble, but you can get it like in 2 days from Amazon, and I think it's cheaper on Amazon, just between you and me. And our audiobook version of it is coming out later this year. I think the publisher's trying to get it out by Christmas. So that's coming your way. And this is not a self-published book. We have a real publisher. We had, the whole thing. So we're not in complete control. I had someone ask me yesterday, hey, Tim, I just enrolled